Here is a picture of our lungs for non-smokers compared to those who do smoke. According to the CDC, the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, tobacco product use remains the leading cause of preventable disease and death in the United States. In 2022, 49.2, 19.8%, nearly 1 in 5 U.S. adults report current tobacco product use. Partaking in smoking will not only bring more harm to you, but also to others around you. In this speech, we'll go over in depth on the negative effects smoking has on not only you, but those around you, and ways to quit or avoid smoking. The first thing we'll discuss is the negative effects of smoking. It's no surprise with cancer involved in smoking. But do you know how much or how important it is? According to the American Cancer Society, smoking causes about 20% of all cancers and 30% of all cancer deaths in the United States. What about lung diseases? I just saw in a picture before, you see what smoking does to your lungs. Well, smoking is actually the cause of 80% of lung diseases and deaths originate from smoking. Now, it isn't just lung diseases and deaths for cancer, but smoking also affects you mentally. Now, how am I going to do so? I want to read an excerpt from the Mental Health Organization. It reads, "Nicotine reaches your brain within 10 seconds and at first relieves stress and improves your mood and concentration. But it's only a short fix. After the effects of nicotine wears off, it creates a sense of craving and the addiction begins." Now, you may wonder, how can I solve that addiction? You probably guessed it right. The only way to sort this addiction is by consuming more nicotine, which then damages your mental health and causes severe depression and anger. So as we just reviewed, there's a plethora of ways in which smoking leads to negative consequences on not only just our bodies physically, but also mentally. But you may think, I don't smoke, so I'm fine. But what if I told you that there's still consequences for being a non-smoker and tobacco environmental use? Even if you don't smoke, secondhand smoking will still lead to adverse effects to non-smokers. These effects being adult to children's, and then there's a lot of statistics that we can go over. But first, I want to show a picture from the CDC. Here you can see the effects that smoking has on non-smokers. We'll start with the children's side. Sudden infant death syndrome, which also affects adults too, specifically women with pregnancy. They can get middle ear diseases, respiratory systems, impaired lung functions, and lower respiratory illnesses as well. Then, if you come across to the adult side here, non-smokers who are in tobacco environmental use, they get strokes, nasal irritation, lung cancer, coronary heart disease, and as mentioned, kind of impaired with the sudden infant death syndrome, but reproductive effect on women low birth rate. There's also some statistics that I want to read from the same site, the CDC, as shown here. 30% increase of getting a heart disease with 34,000 premature deaths caused through secondhand smoking. There's also a 30% increase of heart attack and or strokes from secondhand smoking. Another stat I can read is that 7,300 lung cancer deaths each year in the US from secondhand smoking alone. 7,300 deaths. So, as you can see, it doesn't only affect smokers directly. Those around, they can still get affected from people smoking and being in an environment of smokers. Now, if you do smoke, or if you are around people who do smoke, how can we avoid smoking or quit smoking altogether? Well, the first way to do so is to acknowledge how addicting smoking is. And there's experts who have spoken on this behalf. According to the CAMD, nicotine releases dopamine to the same region of the brain as other addictive drugs such as alcohol or cocaine, causing it to become very addictive. Nicotine over time will even change your brain chemistry, making you ever more dependent on nicotine, further increasing the addiction that you have on smoking. So now that you see how addicting smoking can be, to the point where it literally changes your brain chemistry. And as you can see with the picture here, how you can see how the nicotine gets into the dopamine receptors and then weaves into your brain chemistry. So, what does professional help say in order to do so? Well, the Mayo Clinic staff, they released 10 tricks to help resist tobacco craving, and I will link the article, but to read off some, the first one that I listed was to know what triggers your craving, what causes you to smoke. Avoid those, and you'll get better at ending your addiction. The second is to replace nicotine with healthy mints or gums. Sometimes it's just the sensation that you get, so removing it and something that's more healthier for your body, that can also help with it. The third thing that I have is a support system that can help you resist a craving to tobacco, as it's not the easiest thing in the world, that is no question, although having people around you that can help support you during this challenging time of trying to end an addiction is very important to do so. And then fourth, the last thing I had written down, which may seem a bit underrated, but just constantly reminding yourself of the benefits. Remind yourself, why are you doing what you are doing? Why is it that I'm stopping smoking? What is it doing to me? What am I preventing from doing this? Those four, there's obviously 6 more that you can read in your own time, but I like to highlight those 4 specifically on professional help that has been given to help people who do smoke. Now, there's also a website called whyquit.com, and they mention to choose life over addiction. A former smoker, his name is Joseph, he spoke on how smoking and addiction is a choice, and to choose life over serving a voluntary death sentence. Fear mind is that quitting gets easier day by day, and that those that avoid smoking are relishing the benefits of doing so. So within this short speech, we discuss how partaking in smoking will only do more harm to you and the others around you. We managed to cover the negative effects of smoking in terms of cancer, lung diseases, mental health, and even for those non-smokers, how it can still affect you with increase to heart attacks and heart diseases as well. And we also went over why and how it's so addicting and expert recommendations to help you quit. If you're a non-smoker, you are filled with reassurance on why you're not missing on anything good when it comes to smoking, because there isn't anything good. And then if you are a smoker, I hope that this was able to give you enough information on why you should stop smoking and give you the right steps in doing so. Choosing to quit or never even starting smoking is one of the most powerful decisions that you can make in your life. Not only for you, but your loved ones, your health, your future. Every cigarette not smoked is a step forward to a longer, cleaner, and healthier life. Thank you.